You're listening to Crashes, Claims, and Clarity, hosted by Darrell Burrow, a Georgia-based personal injury attorney with over 30 years of experience and founder of Burrow and Associates. With a background in both legal strategy and compassionate client care, Darrell has helped over 10,000 individuals and families navigate life after injury. Guided by his Christian faith and a deep sense of justice, he brings expert insight, personal stories, and powerful interviews to every episode. If you're looking for truth, support, and clarity in the aftermath of an accident, this is your place. This is Crashes, Claims, and Clarity.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crashes, Claims, and Clarity. I am your host, Darrell Burrow. I am the founder and owner of Burrow and Associates. We are a law firm serving all of Georgia with our headquarters here in Gwinnett County in Duluth, Georgia. Thank you for joining us. And today we have a real treat. We are joined by Andrew Adams. He is the owner of ProLevel Recovery. Andrew is a former NFL football player. He has a Super Bowl championship under his belt, and he has turned entrepreneur. He carries that same professional standards when he transitioned over to entrepreneurship and business ownership. It's the same discipline, same teamwork, same high performance mindset that he defined himself on the field. He and his practice are based here in Metro Atlanta. He partners with attorneys, other medical providers, wellness providers, and what he brings to the table is delivering elite recovery services for everyday people like myself and probably the majority of our listeners and viewers. But that same type of elite recovery that's actually provided to professionals at an extremely high level. And this would be for anybody who is possibly recovering from a surgery, for any type of injury. Andrew is a family first, value driven, highly motivated individual who brings all of that passion to the care that he provides to his patients. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. It's a treat to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I think that might have been one of the best intros I've ever had. I think podcast's over.
Oh, well, again, it's a real joy to have you here.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking your time today, for sure. Obviously the NFL and what it takes to get there, and you're at the highest level. Tell me what lessons you gained or learned or habits that you formed that now carry over to ProLevel Recovery.
Yeah, there's numerous, right? Those same characteristics and traits that each individual has that helps them get to the highest point of their professional career, right? Of their discipline, right? Mine was sports, mine was football, right? So those traits that got me to the NFL don't disappear because I'm not in the NFL anymore, right? And so you have to essentially target and analyze and figure out exactly what those traits are and implement those traits into your daily routine outside of athletics. So obviously discipline, right, is one of them. Work ethic is one of them. Being a competitor, right? Competing is one of them. And then I think the biggest, which all of that is mindset, but it's having the right mindset. And that mindset is, I use the word Kaizen sometimes, right? Kaizen means the act of continuous improvement, right? So I always have the mindset of getting better. Like I want to be better than I was the next day, right? I don't know, I was undrafted, so I always had to have my best foot forward when I walk in the door every time I step on the field, right? And so, right, just trying to be better than you were the next day, always learning, right? I don't know everything, right? I'm not the smartest person. I'm not I haven't been in this business the longest, right? So I want to learn. I want to learn from people that are smarter than me. So just having that mindset, I think, and translating that into business.
Okay. Oh, that's good stuff. People that come to see you, do you see that sometimes they um, underestimate what kind of problems they're having, and what do you see as a common theme? What do they struggle with the most when they present themselves, to your office?
Um, so I'm not day to day in the office, right? So that all our listeners know, I'm not a clinician, right? I retired. I've had multiple injuries, which we'll probably get into later on in the podcast, but I've experienced, right, orthopedic care, interventional pain care, and conservative therapy, right, at the highest level. And so me as the owner, my job is to make sure each patient that walks in the door has that same experience, right? And so from a high level of what I see is kind of going back to mindset, and attacking the rehab with the right mindset. Um, that's what I see as far as a continuous issue with patients walking in the door, um, is that mindset of the work it takes to recover, right? It's not all passive. It's a lot of it's active.
Sure. How do you train your clinicians, or how do you train your entire staff? How do you train them to instill that that mindset? And people that have not been through an accident or before, or haven't been injured before, um, they haven't experienced it before, so they're not going to have that mindset. Uh, Tell us a little bit about how you instill in your staff, and they instill in people that recovery winning mindset.
Yeah, definitely. It's a part of picking and having a great team, right? I think it's all about the people business, right? The business goes as the people inside of it goes and grows. And so having people that understand what they're doing and how they can get their clients to reach the best outcomes is probably the biggest thing. I wouldn't say it's all my training, but it's a group setting conversation of the experience we want our patients to leave with, right? And so that's a big thing. And then haven't done it yet. Obviously, we work with licensed psychologists and therapists,
Okay.
that we can refer certain patients to if they're dealing with PTSD or past trauma, right, from an accident, or a lot of high school athletes, right, might be missing a season, right, might be their senior year because of an injury, and so a lot of times it's the parents giving us that feedback. Hey, so and so isn't is going in is in his room the majority of the day. He isn't talking with his friends, right? It's kind of these depressed type symptoms. Um, and so being able to, refer to certain specialists, right, that can help with that. But actually looking at implementing next month, a mental performance aspect, right, to where we hold events. So when I played with the Tennessee Titans, and other professional teams do it, and most of them have a mental performance coach, um,
Hmm.
to where they come in. Sometimes it's individual, sometimes it's as a defense, it's as an offense, it's as a position group. Um, but you really dive into the mental aspect of the game, the confidence, the visualization, kind of all the intangibles, right, of operating at the highest level, right? It's not always big, strong, fast, right? A lot of it's mental, right? Mental performance. we had a sports psychologist with the Tennessee Titans who just moved here to Atlanta. And so we've been meeting a few times and trying to figure out how we can integrate, right, certain, local events in our clinic, right, to encourage people to come out, and do certain activations, right, mental, mental exercises, right, to get people operating at the highest level within their own lifestyle.
That's a great idea and a great initiative. Um, as you were talking, I was thinking that, a high schooler, for example, I know there's a lot on the line and the parents have a lot invested and a lot at stake. Um, but certainly at the NFL level, and my question is do you find it harder with those on mentally on a professional athlete who there's a lot of money at stake dealing with physical recovery and mindset recovery?
I mean, to not, I guess at surface level, I would say it's harder on the younger athletes because they're less mature.
Okay.
Right. I would say pros, it's kind of cut and dry, right? Attack it or you don't have a job, essentially,
Okay.
right? Come back better than you were, or somebody else going to take your spot. Like, you know, choose one or the
And
other. So,
very quickly, right?
right. So yeah, in high school, collegiate, I think the time aspect, right? I have more time. I can heal from this. Um, I guess they might not have the brain to body connection that, right, certain therapists are looking for, to get certain muscles to fire quicker, to reduce, recovery time, healing time. Um, so yeah, I would say definitely younger athletes for
Hmm.
sure.
Okay.
And unless you're, 33 and you have a major injury and it's like, you know what? I don't want to go through that again. So
And we're talking about someone we know, right?
I still played a year after a major injury. But yeah. Um so yeah, I guess it just depends on, but yeah, age definitely is a factor.
Okay. That's great that you are in talks with and going to be incorporating a psychologist for that. Tell me what other professionals are very important for you to connect with and have your patients see and collaborate with them as well.
Obviously, top-notch doctors, right? Right. Obviously, we have to refer out to doctors that diagnose injuries, et cetera, imaging centers, right? Right, that provide high quality images for the doctors, and great representation partners, right? Such as, great law firms such as your firm, right, that actually have the client's best hand in mind, right? That have their best interests at heart, right? That are actually looking to help people. Um, I would say those are the biggest around, right, in our industry, right, that make essentially the patient the happiest, right? Those are all the ones, essentially that touch the patient. I would say outside of the industry, I'm passionate about um, financial education and financial literacy.
Okay.
I feel certain generations were underserved, certain markets, demographics are underserved. Um, a lot of people have access to knowledge that other people don't have access to. Um, like I said, I was undrafted, so I never made life-changing money in the NFL, right? Or I take that back because playing it, yes, it does change your life. I didn't make enough money to where I didn't have to do anything ever again after I retired, right? Um,
Okay.
and so and so around year 3 or 4, realizing realizing that football will not last forever, obviously, learning and educating myself on, certain financial investment vehicles, right, to where I can create a legacy and leave wealth for me and my family. Um, right, essentially never go broke again, no matter how much money I made in the NFL. And I know my parents, like my dad, I acquired the company from my father, right? He's owned the practice for over 30 years. Um, and right, he's still working in the practice. Obviously, he loves what he does. My mom was a pharmacist, right? She still works, but they've had two awesome jobs, and why are they not able to retire? At their age, right? It's financial education, financial literacy, right? You hear about athletes going broke after, right? That's the cliche one, right? But really, I'm passionate about helping, you know, ones that aren't the multimillionaires, right, achieve financial legacy and financial freedom, right, with certain certain services and vehicles that they can take advantage of if they learn about and educate, right, speak to the right people.
Does the NFL or the teams, they've got psychologists and they have all these sports, injury people. Do they have any financial professional on staff that helps advise guys?
Yeah, I don't know maybe if I should dive too much into it, but a lot of them do bring in financial advisors, right? And your traditional financial advisor is, long story short, right, is going to take, a percentage of your money, of your earnings, right, invest it in public markets, right, and they take a percent of assets under management. And so the less assets under management they have, the less money they make. And so as you grow, right, outside of, 20, early 20s, year olds getting to your 30s, et cetera, and you learn about different markets such as real estate, private equity, insurance products, um, those conversations become stale and static with your financial advisor because you're not giving them all your money anymore, right?
Mhm.
And so, yes, financial advisors are a piece of the pie, but they're not the whole pie. Um, and so that's what what's essentially provided and stuffed in athletes' faces, your traditional financial advisor, which, I wouldn't say they're not needed, but um,
Sure. Yeah, but that's fantastic that you want to take that and take it to folks that aren't going to have access that an NFL player might have.
right,
So,
right.
um, tell me about the mistakes people make if they try to rush recovery or try to do too much. And then I was going to ask you, maybe we don't have to name names, but any examples that you saw in the NFL of somebody rushing a recovery and it did not turn out well.
Most of the time, it doesn't turn out well. I'm trying to think of a specific example. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, smaller things or things, like pulled muscles, hamstrings, right? Obviously, a lot of hamstrings happen, trying to return, get back out there a week earlier too for a game and, really tearing your hamstring, so to speak, because the muscle, wasn't ready. And then yeah, you have the bigger injuries, right? The 8 months to a year recovery,
Mm,
right? Where, the ACLs, the Achilles, those bigger ones where you might be the middle of a season, somebody trying to come back for playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's better to think about longevity than to get back a month or two before it's ready, and then you set yourself back another year.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Um, let's say you've got just an everyday average person like myself, and I'm getting a little age on me. Uh, what would you encourage me to do for just that I could do more of for just everyday recovery? I mean,
Yeah,
is it sleep? Should I get more sleep? I mean, what's the one
definitely it starts
magic?
with sleep. It definitely starts with sleep, right? That is the battery. That's your battery. That's recharges, right? And so I would say after sleep, We are implementing cold plunges in our clinics, and
Okay.
that that's great. Yeah, it's great for recovery, but it's great for the brain. It's great for the blood. It's great for inflammation. It's great for the heart. So a lot of added benefits outside of, just your, feeling, your muscles feeling good afterwards. Infrared sauna, right? Reduces
Yeah.
inflammation, right? Detoxifies, obviously good sweat. Um, those are two good tools. And then obviously staying mobile, active, you know, I wouldn't say, stretching if you can, but just, keeping the blood flowing, you know, putting body in positions to where, you're able to move, joints aren't stiffening, arthritis, etc. I would say those are the main things, right?
Okay.
And then from a therapeutic standpoint, I would say definitely get adjusted once a month at least, or so. I would say at a minimum, right? That's going to keep the body aligned and everything working correctly, muscles firing correctly. I always who doesn't love a great massage, manual therapy, right? I wouldn't say a spa like massage. I would say a massage where the therapist is actually going to and increase mobility, in your body. Um, Drink water.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say if you do those things,
All right.
you'll be feeling pretty good.
Anything you see, other than those things, which are fairly new, but anything you see coming down the pike that's cutting edge that you think is going to be big in the next coming years?
Yeah, I think shockwave therapy, has created a some buzz. I do like it. I do see a lot of benefits in reducing inflammation and pain, right? In just one or two sessions of having it, right? They have it in pretty much all pro athlete facilities.
Okay.
Love dry needling. That's not new, but I would do that twice a week. When I was playing, I would get dry needled. Um, and then the
Explain
more
that. Explain that in a little more detail.
dry needling is different than acupuncture. It's still small millimeter needles that go in and target certain trigger points, and release tension and tightness, in muscles that, might be tightly wound or tight. And it's so targeted and pinpoint right from a needle that you can get deeper than somebody's thumb or elbow, right, in a massage. It also, right, creates little holes in the tissue, right, which the body sees that as trauma and not good, right? And so it rushes new blood to that area, and new blood is how the body heals, right? So you get good blood flow to the area, which is super beneficial. Um, so that's essentially dry needling.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you can get it pretty much, I wouldn't say anywhere. But yeah, most body parts, right? They can they can typically dry needle. I guess some more, I guess rigorous things, obviously PRP. Um, People put stem cells in the PRP to make it a little stronger. People do stem cell injections just by itself. I guess they're coming out with like stem cell patches now that you can wear. Um, yeah, I mean, off the top
Okay.
of my head, that's
All
pretty
right.
much all I could think
Well,
of.
thank you for that. So, uh, now that we're not on the football field professionally, what new hobbies has Andrew Adams taken up?
Oh, it has to be the golf course. It's cold right now, so I haven't been out there in a
Okay.
while, but I would say it's definitely the golf course.
All right. Good. Good.
Definitely the golf course. Keep that competitive juices flowing, right? But not beating up the body.
It's a tough sport.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, they're both tough sports. I guess
super
one
tough.
physically, one mental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one, yeah, super, yeah. I mean, but even physically, like I think the physical detail, right, in golf, even though football has a lot of physical detail, but it's 1 millimeter different swing, right? The ball's in the woods, or like club face, all the different, like, so yeah, and then mentally
And
different ball game.
well, and I was going to say, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but those golfers at the elite level, I mean, they travel with psychologists and they've got they got chiropractors and
Yeah.
all kind trainers that travel with them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Uh,
after 18 holes, my back hurts. And they're
I know the
walking. And
feeling.
they're walking. I'm on the cart.
Yeah,
I don't walk 18 holes.
understood. Um, how about this? Tell us one funny fact or fun fact that you either don't share very often or haven't ever shared before.
Funny fact or fun fact, man. Um, so in I guess it's not fun, but in ninth grade, I had a lumbar fusion, a back surgery, L5, S1, right? My neurosurgeon told me never play football again, and wouldn't clear me to play football. So I wasn't supposed to play football.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That is that's not funny, and it's definitely surprising that you went on and did what you did. That's for sure.
I'm
I
blessed.
congratulate you on all your success, and it's wonderful that you've been able to take that. Maybe this is our mindset podcast because that's what you've been able to do is take that high level mindset and carry it forward into your business, and it's just wonderful. It's been wonderful to speak with you. Tell everyone where they can find you. Where can they find ProLevel Recovery?
Yeah, so our website is www.prolevelrecovery.com. All our socials is ProLevel Recovery, Instagram, Facebook, not on TikTok yet, LinkedIn. We have our main location in Fayetteville right now, off Highway 85 and 314. We're moving, having a grand opening at the new location, which is just 2 miles down the road. And Banks Crossing, Kroger Shopping Center. That's 220 Banks Crossing, Fayetteville, Georgia. That grand opening will be February 24th. And then we'll do a community day that Saturday, February 28th. We have an office in Duluth, off Peachtree Industrial. Corporate Parkway is 3500 Corporate Way, Duluth, Georgia. And then we have an office in Beaufort as well. All locations are on the website. Phone numbers on the website. Definitely, if you need to find us, shouldn't be too hard.
Absolutely. Listen, I really appreciate it. It's been uplifting. It's also been fun. It's been fun to have you on. I really appreciate it, and I know you're doing good stuff, not only for your patients but for the community as well. And we thank you so much. Okay.
No, thanks for having me. And I know all the listeners know everything that you've accomplished. So hats off to you and salute to you. And thanks for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Much success to you.
All right,
Bye
you as
bye.
well. All right, have a good one.
You've been listening to Crashes, Claims, and Clarity with attorney Darrell Burrow, founder of Burrow & Associates and a trusted advocate for over 30 years. If today's episode helped bring clarity or hope after an accident, be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. To connect with Darrell or learn more, visit legalatlanta.com. Join us next week for another honest, faith-centered conversation about recovery, rights, and moving forward after injury.